Hello friends, I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Hope everything is good and great and wonderful and beautiful. I brought a prop with me today because I wanted to, talk a bit about, not necessarily feature creep. I guess it is feature creep in this particular aspect. First of all, if it bothers you that I've been talking about nothing but this stupid, it's not stupid, it's fun. This game project that I've been working on, I'm sorry, but it's what's been absorbing my attention for the last couple of months now is, making this simple role-playing game. And this simple role-playing game, the main inspiration, I don't know if I've talked about this anywhere, I've played a lot of RPGs over the years, and smartphone RPGs have gotten to the point where they're basically just idle clicks, and you can do some stuff, but there are a few minimalist RPGs that I really enjoy, like Reigns is a really simple little card game, but I found this one called Simplest RPG, and it's like a young guy, first project, and when he says simplest RPG, he really means it. I mean, I would hesitate to even call it an RPG. Like, there's no actual role you're playing, there's no actual decisions. You basically have a character who gets some equipment, and then you attack a monster until either you die or it dies. And if it dies, you get experience, and then you just keep hitting that button and doing that until you get more experience that you can attack the next level monster. And then you can go on these dungeon runs, which are essentially hit a button and see if you survive. And if you survive, you get a bunch of money and some equipment, and then you can equip your new equipment if you meet the new level, and that's it. Like, it's the whole game. There is a blacksmithing thing, and that's the closest gamification thing that happens. Basically, you have some equipment, you take it to a blacksmith, he upgrades it. Once it gets beyond a certain upgrade point, every time you attempt to upgrade it, it becomes much riskier. The item will probably break at some point. So trying to max out items and stuff is very difficult. It takes a lot of time, but it's super simple. And I thought, wow, I can make this. Like, this is a really simple app. I should try, I could do that in PHP. I could do that as a web-based game. I should try that. That's where this started. And here we are now, like 2 months later. These were my first little notes about the three character stats. You have attack, defense, and magic. You have 3 skills that you can put points into that buff those things. And then you have some, weapons, and you have, I was going to add elements, so fire, ice, and electricity. And that's basically it. That was it. And you're going to go through this game, and you're going to fight things, you're going to get new equipment, and then you're going to keep going. That's where this started. And here we are, like a couple months later, and there's just pages and pages and pages. I added elements, and I said, well, I should add some sort of religious system. I should add, holy and evil, which compounds on top of the fire and ice. I should add different, types. And then the weapon thing happened, and I thought, oh, I can make these really cool weapons, all these cool attributes. And I wanted all of these words that are assigned to these weapons to mean something cool. So I had all these extra little things like your sneaking ability, your critical hit ability, or whatever. And now I've gotten to the point where, while the game on the front end, while you as the player are just simply going to read a sentence that says, you walk into a room, you see something on a table, there's an orc in the middle of the room holding a sword, what do you do? And your options will basically be, I attack or I flee. You'll actually have a third option. Well, you have dozens of other options. You can change all of your equipment before you attack. You could drink potions before you attack, and you could attack. Or you could do all of those things before you flee, and then you could flee. And the concept is you're trying to get to the end. You got thrown into this dungeon, and you're trying to find your way out, right? And if you find your way out, you win. That's the end of the game. But you have very limited health. You have crap equipment in the beginning, and when you go into these rooms, and you'll see, like, it'll say you see a sword on a table, but you don't know if that sword's amazing or terrible. You see an orc holding a knife. Is it a good knife, a bad knife? You don't know. So you'll have to make that decision. Do I want to attack this? Do I want to risk like dying here or losing a bunch of health to see what this weapon is, or do I just run? Do I just keep running? You could, I guess, you could theoretically, because the game engine is completely procedural, you could just run all the way out of the dungeon and win. But that's probably not going to happen. Creatures will get progressively more difficult, which means they'll get progressively more difficult to run away from. But that's the main game loop. You'll get a sentence that says, this is what you see, what do? You choose attack, it attacks, Here you hit, he hits. Here's how much damage you took. You know, what do you do now? Do you attack? Do you try to run now? Do you drink a potion? He'll attack. Blah blah blah. Back and forth until you either successfully defeat the room or the monster, and then he'll drop his loot, and then you could loot whatever's in the room, the table, whatever. On the front end, that's it. That's the whole game. But on the back end, I've spent so much time trying to figure out like how all of these pieces fit, because I have all of these stats. And so when I attack a monster, I have to figure out, like, is that monster weak to anything? Is he weak to flaming, weak to ice, or weak to lightning? Is he weak to holy or evil? Then I have to determine whether I have any bonuses based on that. And then I have to figure out this attack based on my attack value and all of my equipment's attack value modified by a modifier, which scales as you level, which is how I'm going to handle monsters leveling. They just scale with the player, and there's all of this intricacy, and it's kind of overwhelming, but I've been really enjoying it. Over the last couple of days, I've got enemies generation. They're extremely basic. They don't do anything yet. And I've got the character generator working. It basically generates a new character with some stats and some basic equipment. The equipment's random, so fun, start. And basically, I think in my head, I'm seeing when you first start a new game, you're going to get like 3 characters and you'll get to choose one. So the stats are random. All of that stuff is random, so you'll have a good chance of getting a decent character so that you can try to make this run through the dungeon. But detailing all of these little things, every little thing I added, I didn't realize how much that compounds. I think is the key to doing this sort of game development or game design and programming it is, I get it now. Every tutorial you ever followed starts this minuscule thing. You have an attack, this has a defense, you attack, you should see its health go down. If it attacks back, you should see your health go down. That's it. Then we start adding. Instead, I've started with this huge list of parameters, and now I have to figure out how to massage all of that into a working engine. And I'm getting there. It's just a little bit overwhelming. It's a little bit... It's tough. I shouldn't have done all this. Even just, I have inventory. I could have said you have one weapon, one shield, one armor, one magical item, and that's it. And let's move on. Instead, I decided to say that you have 2 hands. So you could have a weapon and a shield, or you could have a 2-handed weapon or a 2-handed shield, but you can't have both. I decided that you could have 1 magical item to begin with, maybe 2 if your magic attribute is high enough, but magic attributes are going to determine how many of these items you can power, essentially, with your magic. So you could have a dozen of them by the end of the game or something. And I have to figure all of that crap out because I've already decided that's how it's going to be. Right? I want it that way. And it's been really, it's a huge puzzle that's slightly overwhelming, but it's also been really engaging me. Even when I'm not working on it, my brain is constantly thinking about how much fun it is to figure this stuff out. And I think that when I was designing board games, that was the side of it that really attracted me. It wasn't the theme, it was the side that was figuring out the puzzle. Like, how do I make this fun? How do I make this all work together in a cohesive system? And that's what I've been working on, and it's getting closer. I hope by the end of the week I'll be able to put up a basic character generator and a basic enemy generator that you could play with, and then maybe I'll flesh out the little fill-in-the-blank Mad Libs type thing with more stuff so that we can get people playing with it and adding more words to the database, because that's really fun. But for right now, it's been interesting. It's been confusing at times, but I'm getting there. And I hope that maybe next week or maybe later this week I can get another little consult with our friend Morgan, and maybe we can figure out more of it together. And I'll keep pushing forward. Someday I might have a playable game. Who knows? Feature creep. How much does it affect you? Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I will see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is bibelot. It is a noun meaning a small object of beauty or rarity. The Rosington's collection of bibelots contains numerous Fabergé eggs. Bibelot. B-I-B-E-L-O-T.